All right, so we are live again. Yes, we seems to be live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Edugo live session. And in this actually session, it's a bit particular, and it's entitled "How to Create Your Language Course Quickly and Generate an Income." So, if you own a language business, then stay with us. Join this live, and I'm going to have a co-host. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Giorgio Morocica, and I am going to be the host for this session. And I am also the head of brand awareness at edugo.ai. So, in this session, I'm going to have a host. My co-host, is Kate Bogar, founder of Balancing Teachers. And in this session, if you, as I mentioned before, if you own a language business, then you should watch this session because together with Kate, we are going to talk about very interesting topics such as how to create a course quickly, what makes sales and what doesn't make sales. And Kate also is going to share some tips and what works and what didn't. And then we are going to have a live session where you can join us, ask your question about if you have a language business, about what we're going to talk. And if you are too shy to join our live session at the end, you can ask your question in the chat. So let me invite my guest in the meantime, see if our guest is joining so that we can start our live session. Oh, hey, okay, here it is. Here she is. Hello, Kate. Can you hear me?
Hello.
All right. Yes,
Hi,
I
I can
can
hear
hear
you. Can
you
you hear me?
perfectly. Perfectly. Let me adjust a
Good.
little bit the camera. All right. So I was just giving a brief intro about the session. What is this session going to be about, and who is this session for? As I mentioned, this session is for anyone who owns a language
Awesome.
business, either if you're individual or if maybe you have a larger school and you run a language business online. And in this session, we're going to as we entitled, How to Create Your Language Course Quickly and Generate Income. And we're going to talk about how to create a course quickly, what makes sales and what doesn't. And then we're going to have a Q&A. So, Kate, before going talk about these topics, I want you to give a introduction about yourself because I have already done on my side. So please, the floor is yours.
Okay, so hi
Again.
everybody. Hello, Giorgio. Um, so my nice to see you too. My name is Kate, and I'm an English teacher. I've been teaching English for almost 15 years now. I'm Canadian and I live in Germany. I have numerous elements of my job and what I do. But the main reason that I wanted to come online in the first place was to help myself make a little bit of money around my kids. Like just diving into the beginning. Hello, Arazu. From the very beginning, the whole reason why I was showing up here was not because I needed more clients necessarily. In fact, I had enough clients. For me, the problem was always that I had to cancel on my clients if anybody in my house was sick, or I wouldn't make any money if anyone in my house is sick. If either of my children become sick, I'm the person who has to stay home with them. I cancel on my clients, and when I don't show up, I don't make money. So for me, it was always about trying to find a way between like that extreme version of money for time to trying to find something else that worked for me and my business within my family. So for me, that was always key. Um, I was explaining this to some of our group members the other day. Like when I go into companies, I actually start out every way, no matter what level that group is. I start the exact same way, and it's just that if the group is more advanced, I would do that faster than if the group was a little bit lower or beginners. Then I would go through each of those steps at a really, really slow rate. So really for me, when I started, I was like, how can I turn that into something that I sell and that I can give to more people while also, not depending entirely on 1 hour per $1 or however much money I'm making, right? So for me, that was key. That was the whole reason why I came online. And I think a lot of people, as a teacher, you think, okay, now I need to go in, I need to have a social media presence, I need to be online so that people can find me. And then very, very quickly, you become like obsessed with followers. And this isn't actually the way to get sales. So we are going to talk about that later too. It's not actually the way to get sales. And this is one thing I just want to go over and over with as many teachers as I can. Getting more followers does not necessarily mean getting more buyers, if that makes sense. So that was 4 years ago, I started the online school. And now we've got an online school. We've got team members all over the world. We've got courses that we're selling. And we're also telling and teaching teachers how to do not the same, but something similar, whatever it is that makes them happy and
Yeah,
whatever
it's definitely
inspires them in their
interesting
business.
from your side because you kind of bring experience from starting a business from pre-COVID era, and we've seen that during COVID and afterwards, many language teachers jumped on this on starting their own language business, and we've seen a shift in the industry from that side. And the other side is like many language business, like established offline, kind of switching to online. So beside that kind of like experience and expertise, you also bring the fact that you work with teachers who want to grow their own language business. So those are like two very interesting elements that I think is going to make this live really exciting for people, for language business teachers or language schools already. Very interesting and very exciting. So I guess despite the reason
Yeah.
on the needs also for other teachers, you mentioned yours, but other teachers, the needs that led them to start their own business, language business online. Let's start with the first, let's say, the first point that I want to address. So, what does it mean to launch your online language business? What is the process like? Because before making sell or building a course, there's some steps that you have to do. Maybe you want to share a little bit about those steps. How did it work for you before we actually going and talking about how to create a course quickly and then sell it?
Yeah. And I would say also just anyone who's watching this at the moment, please, any questions you've got, send them into the question box, put them into the chat box. We are actually here to answer your questions live. So if I miss something or if I skip over something too quickly, please write it in the chat box. Yeah, okay. So the question is, I mean, yeah, where did we start and how do you build an online school? And I think the question, it's similar to like the expression, how do you eat or how does a mouse eat an elephant? How do you eat an elephant? Whatever the expression is. And it's like one bite at a time, right? There is nobody, to the best of my knowledge, there is not one single person who starts a business today and makes 10 grand a month tomorrow, or, has all the prestige in the world. It is running an online school, using online services, platforms, social media, whatever, to run your online school is a long game. It's not, that I can do something today, release a course tomorrow, and then then just hang out on the beach drinking pina coladas forever. So for me, I think there's many different ways that you can start, and there's no really wrong way to start. What we did is that, the actual way that it happened for us is that I started I started posting on Instagram first. That was the first thing that we were doing. But like I said, I had a very, very clear idea of what I wanted. I'm not here looking for more clients. I'm not here looking for more one-on-ones. So for me, that was very clear from the get-go. I'm looking to start something that I can maintain on my own. I knew after a couple of months that I wanted to create that course, that thing that I always do at the beginning of every new corporate client. I start the exact same way. So I wanted to do that, but only via like course and through videos. Okay. So when I'm doing that via video, I did a couple of different things. I got a whiteboard in my office. I set up this entire thing. I bought a tripod and an expensive camera, bought a whole bunch of lights, 3 different lights, and my husband hung them from the ceilings. And it was very, very professional looking and very, Yeah, professional looking, very expensive. And I would get in front of the whiteboard to do the same lesson I do over and over again for so many different people, and I would panic. And I didn't know what I needed to be recording, or I would kind of like get tongue tied, the cameras and the lights on you and everything at the same time. It was really nerve wracking, and I was definitely not on my A game. So I created the first part of the course, or the first course, which I had always intended would be numerous courses, sets in a row. Um, and it was just awful. It was awful. It was also like in the middle of summer and with those heat lights on you, like I know I was sweating, I know I was nervous, the whole thing. So my brother-in-law is a videographer, I should say, and he actually was helping me. He was standing there the entire time recording, and then took all of that and tried to turn it into what could pass for a manageable course. He did a great job, but it took him months. So I mean, this whole setup was both expensive and it was time consuming for both myself and my brother-in-law, who's a videographer and has his own job and his own things to do. Um, After that, I asked one of my very best friends. He and I have known each other for almost 15 years. As long as I've been an English teacher, I've known this guy. And I asked him if he would join me. I could use help on Instagram. I could use help with the tech stuff. I'm not super techy. Anything regarding a platform, I just don't understand. So he's like, okay, this is my jam. I can do that. Um, so then I got to filming the second part of the course, and we had always known there was going to be part 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Um, I filmed it same way, sent him all these clips that he had to then go through and then pick out the best parts and piece them together and try to make fades and fade in and fade out, and
Really
really,
polished.
really trying to turn my poop into a diamond, if you will. So this for us, it was like just again so time consuming. And then he would sit there for hours and he would write out the entire script. He would turn it into the subtitles, and then he would have to time it perfectly to match my mouth. It took him hours. It took him at least, I would say, 30 hours per course just to get those subtitles to match up. But we both felt it was important that
Of
an English
course.
course also had subtitles to go with it. And then we launched the course, and we had absolutely zero emails. I think I had about 2,000 followers at the time. He did not have his own page where he was following, like creating. He was simply helping me in the background. Um,
Wow.
and we had no buyers, zero. So
Yeah.
all of that work, all of like sweating in the heat of the summer with those giant lights, and the work from my brother-in-law, the work from Ian, it was just so
Yeah.
disappointing.
This is a very
Um, but
Yeah,
we
this is a
we
very
yeah. So I'll
common
stop there, and we can.
experience for many teachers we also work with. I just want to address this question also to the audience. If you had a similar experience, you've been putting a lot of time and
Sure.
effort to a course, and then you try to sell it, and maybe you don't get the sales you wanted. Just let us know in the comments if you kind of resonate this story with, if you had some similar story, does it, if it even resonates with you. So this is something like one of those hard lessons that you learn by doing. Obviously, nowadays, I
Mhm.
guess you can overcome that lesson by um, getting a coach who has some experience into that. But if you had to distill some of the learnings, you did like a framework of the story. If you had distilled some of the learnings in some tips, what will those learning be if you want to share? What would you change, like if you had to start it today, for
Yeah,
instance?
absolutely. So so we did so many different things, okay? And I'm not gonna get into every single
Sure.
step like in such detail, but the next step that we did, so in October of 2021, no, 2020, we were in lockdown. Both myself and my best friend Ian both have two kids each. So we had four kids between the two of us, and we were, drowning. We're like, how do I even create content at this
Yeah.
point without kids popping up all over the place? Yeah, unfortunately, it's a problem when you've got young kids in the house. But so then we got an opportunity to sell a course, create a course specifically for a Fortune 500 company in India. They had a very clear idea of exactly what they wanted. And we were just like, okay, can we create exactly what they want? And the answer was, yes, we can, but we can't do it the way we were doing it before. We can't do it where it takes hours of filming and with the kids in the house and all. It doesn't work. So how do we do this a better way? And I don't know, at some point it just occurred to me, like I'm on Canva, I'm using Canva anyway. Basically what I started to do was create the presentations. Now, first of all, I'll say this as
Yeah.
well. We had already sold the course now. So we're now creating after having sold, which is a really, really key part of this, because you have to be sure that people are going to want what you're about to create. And that's something we didn't do from the beginning. So not only now have we sold it to the company, now
You got to deliver.
we've got to
You
get
got
this
to
thing
deliver.
together and we
Yeah.
got to send this out. Yeah. We got to produce, man. So what do we do? So I created, like on Canva, I created presentations as like a reminder of myself, as a way to lead myself through the lesson. And I would spend 3 weeks preparing like 6 different lessons. And I would go through, and I can even tell you like the system that we had in each of the lessons, these video lessons, I mean. So in each of these video lessons, and I would create them. I would come back 3 days later, go through, make sure there's absolutely no spelling mistakes. Like this is ready to film. And then I would make the next one, and then the next one. And I made 5 or 6 over the course of 3 weeks. And then I would tell my husband to take the kids on a very long walk. And I'm not even kidding. He would take them for 2.5 hours, and I would crank out all 7 lessons in those 2.5 hours. And that would last us 7 weeks. So all I had to do was, like, if I knew that our very, very first lesson was happening in 3 weeks, I could create the next 7 weeks of content in 2.5 hours. I just need that 3 weeks to prepare. It was all about the preparation. So I prepared absolutely everything, sent my husband and kids out of the house, and then I would film version number 1. And then literally, like, I would come into Zoom. I would give an introduction of myself on Zoom. This is what the lesson's going to be this week. This is what we're talking about. And then I would share my screen, and I would go through the presentation, sharing the screen so that people are looking at the words, they're looking at things, but there's no added subtitles later. I could do it all in one go. There was no editing. There was no transitions. There's none of that fancy stuff that Ian was working on in the first place. It was just literally beginning to end. And then Ian would have to like chop off the very beginnings where I'm like, hi, today we're going to be talking about like that, just that breath at the beginning. That's what he would cut off. And then I created 7 weeks of content in 2.5 hours. And that for us was a huge, huge turning point in how we can be productive and not waste our own time on the other BS, the stuff, standing there in front of the whiteboard, all of that. It's nice, but it's also
That's
totally
interesting
unnecessary.
because so I guess we can distill
Yeah.
this in one way to put like this experience instead of like creating a course and then try to sell it, do the other way around. First sell and then create the course. And I've seen like many teachers do that mistake where they spend the 3, even 6 months. I've heard teachers, for instance, who work with us. We have this brand ambassador program. We help teachers to launch and grow the language business. And all the time when I ask, okay, what is a challenge for you? One of them is like creating a course. It takes 3-6 months, and then they launch it and realizing, okay, and they realize that they're not gonna make any sales. So what we do is actually teacher we work with is actually change the approach. So instead, try to sell the course and then you build on the course. But obviously, selling a course is actually another point that you mentioned is like, if you don't have a community, so even before like starting to sell, try to work on the other first step, which is building a community or finding a niche that you really want to focus on and you want to build a course for. And obviously there's 2 ways. You can either find niche, build the content and build this community of your target students, or you can create the course or at least some of the lessons in the course, and then you can do some paid ads on Google, or there's 2 ways. Obviously the idea of
Yeah.
creating a niche probably has better rewards because you get traffic, not paid, free traffic to your course, so that can work and also enables you to understand the needs really well. Um, to share a little bit from our side experience, what we did as well with the other teachers is actually to, let's say, instead of like creating a course of 20 lesson content, we actually change a bit the dynamics. So we create a course, and then as a teacher, instead of creating 20 lesson, create just one lesson adding that course. You launch the course, see how many students purchase that course, and then the other lessons you kind of like do drip content. So you add the other lessons every, I know, 1 week or every 2 weeks, based on the feedback of the students who purchased that course. This allows you to increase the personalization, but also to not spend time on content that will not resonate or will not be already purchased. So kind of like build on the feedback of the students. What could be one at the beginning, maybe two, maybe three students who purchase. So you do that.
Exactly.
This is also something we try to incentivize teachers to do in our case. Do you have similar experience with her?
Ironically, we actually did that accidentally for our teachers, because at one point we did realize there was a lot of online teachers coming into our circuit. You know, we've been around for a while, we've made these mistakes, we know that they're mistakes, and we're seeing that new teachers are also making these mistakes. We offered out a concept. We told them a theory of what we're going to teach them. We said, so I had like a webinar, and we talked to the teachers, and I said, listen, we're going to teach you what to post to get clients. We're going to teach you how to sell in your DMs, and we're going to teach you what, like how often to promote yourself and how to promote yourself through your posts.
Right.
And that was it. It was, you're going to learn these 3 things over the course of 3 months. Okay. So if you're going to learn these 3 things, are you in or are you out? Right. And then we recorded those things, and those actually became the trainings that we now still sell and include in our packages. So again, if you know who you're talking to, you know how to solve someone's problems, then you can tell them what the concept is and then have them buy before they join. And really, it's the best way for yourself. If no one bought the program, then people, okay, clearly people don't need this information. So it's not, and I haven't done any extra work. Right? So it's the same thing. If you're teaching or selling to someone, tell them what you're going to teach them, but then do it along the way.
I think this goes to the fact that many teachers, I will not say they suffer, but they want things to be super perfect. In a world where you need to be flexible rather than perfect, because perfection will not get you anywhere, whereas flexibility will enable you to adapt, especially in a digital world. You have to be perfect. Like the people who are more digital, like Darwinian digital rule should be, the more flexible you are, the more adaptable, the faster you will be able to understand that different dynamics. So testing different things. And
I think teachers struggle from a couple different things. So perfectionism is totally one of them. And then we are also, I'm generalizing right now, maybe I'm just projecting my own stuff onto other people. But I truly believe like teachers are over informers. We want to tell you everything we know. But at the end of the day, people don't want to buy a course with everything someone knows. They want to buy specific things. So hearing, what I'm going to post, how to sell in my DMs, how to promote my offer. These are very tangible, very specific things that you're then including in your sales pitch. And that is way better than, I'm going to teach you everything I know.
Right.
How long is that going to take? I don't have all the time in the world. So it's unfortunately, teachers are live in class. They are overgivers, and I just want to tell you everything I've ever learned and that I think may one day help you. But actually, it's better to just bring that right down and package up something quickly and nicely, offer it, and then
I totally agree. Many teachers, they want to teach everything to everyone, and that's like a really, really bad strategy. You have to focus and personalize both the content and the target of students specifically that you want to teach that thing. Obviously, a student higher level has in terms of language needs more personalization she or he
Yeah.
will need. So being like also super focused in terms of who are your students, what are their needs, will be easier for you to identify those needs and also build a product, in this case, a course that really resonates with those students. And will also enable you to make more sales and also facilitate the conversion from a student who knows about your course to actually a student who purchased that course from you. Um, do we want to talk a little bit? We
Yeah.
still have some time before we jump to the Q&A. Do we want to talk a little bit in general of the course and where the industry is going? And why I want to talk about that,
Mm-hmm.
what we've seen is lately there is a shift from a course which is content mainly focused to a course where there is some integration of content plus live session. So we always been like this mantra
Mm-hmm.
of content is king for the last 10 years, and maybe this was true and was true, content was king. But if you want to build a really good course, that probably is not anymore the case. So content is no longer king. So you have to
Mm-hmm.
think about, okay, how do I design a course which is not only content based but is also integrate other elements, which could be two ways. One could be you have a course with content and one-to-one live session, or the other route is content plus group live session. uh, do you want to touch a little bit on those points?
Mm-hmm.
What is your experience? Do you have similar experience where you integrate those?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's a couple different things, right? The first of all, we're talking about language courses. So language courses themselves, any good language teacher will tell you it's not just theoretical. It's not just something you can only listen to in a course and then be done. Unlike some things, like learning about SEO, for example, or learning how to make a sales page, you can take a course on that. You can do challenges on that, and then you have the information and you can execute. Languages are different. You have to practice. So for us at the very beginning, when we created our courses, like I said, we weren't looking to add more to our schedule. So we were creating a course that we wanted to just be the videos. And we got a little bit of pushback about it. Some people are saying, but I need more. And honestly, at the time, it really bothered both Ian and I. Were like, okay, how do we make them happy? How do we add to this? How do we like make it so that we can make everybody happy? And then what we did was we took so the two first courses that we filmed in that awkward lighting and with the subtitles, all of that, and the content from the company in India, and we combined them into a 5-month program where they're drip fed mini video lessons every week. And then one time per month, we had the option for a live lesson. Now, we did this because we thought that this is what people needed. But I have to say, people would buy in and they would watch the videos, and we could see them logging in, and I'm assuming they were watching the videos. And we'd get compliments later saying this was amazing, thank you so much. And then we'd sit there live, and it was just Ian and I oftentimes just twiddling our thumbs, waiting for people to show up. They always said they wanted the live element, but they never actually got to it. So for me, this was not ideal. And then Ian and I thought, you know what, we're putting an awful lot of effort into something that isn't working for people. We make a cheaper version that's only videos, and then we make it a little bit more expensive because now it includes our time for the also live added element. And then those people who are willing to pay a little bit more also then commit to coming. So honestly, I think in this moment, the three-tiered pricing is the best way to go. You've got your absolute basic, which is the videos you've already created. Someone can buy and purchase and then move on with their lives after learning your information, which is awesome. You've got the next level, which adds the group element to it. It's a little bit more expensive, like I said. It takes a little bit more of your time, but they'll also be that much more committed. And then the third option, I mean, My favorite business coach told me this once. I've had 3 or 4 business coaches over the last 3 or 4 years. But my favorite told me at one point, you have your $1,000 offer, your $2,000 offer, and your $10,000 offer. And the $10,000 offer is really there to sell the $2,000 offer. But on the off chance that someone actually buys the $10,000 offer, you have to be willing to follow through. So what is the next level? Is the everything, the what is that next thing that you can then charge that much more for? And that for me
Right.
would be a package of 10 one-on-ones, right? But then you make it that much more expensive so that ideally people, if they don't have a place where they can spend that money,
Right.
they come to the group lessons. Right. But then at some point, there will be someone who says, but I do want the one on one, so I'm paying for this offer. And that's when you have the 3-tiered pricing that works in your favor. You've got products that help each other, and then you've got
Yeah,
programs
exactly. And
and
also, it kind of
money,
resonates with
sales.
different purchasing power of your students. So those who cannot afford, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
the first tier, which has, let's say, if you do one-to-one, high
Yeah.
level of personalization because you have teacher who does one-to-one with you, and then you have the content. Whereas the second tier, you have the community of other learners like you, the same level, so they can afford. Obviously, it's a lower price a little bit compared to the first one, and then the third tier, which is the content, if you cannot afford those three. Yeah, that's really interesting. Okay, let's see if before we
It's a combination.
let's see if we have some questions Q&A from people. If you are a language, you own a language
Sure.
business, and you want to ask some questions about how to increase sales and so on and so forth, about your experience as well. If you want to share, just jump in, send us a request, and you can join our live directly. Or if you are too shy, feel free to type your questions in the chat. Okay, what do you want? Do you want to share something else in the meantime?
Yeah.
People are taking their time to gather their thoughts and sharing some insights.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm seeing here somebody said, I love the 3-tier approach. That's brilliant. I did see a comment earlier as well from Learn Italian on the Couch, which is awesome. And we were kind of talking about niches at the time and creating something for your people, right? So it's tough because you're not always going to know immediately what you want to offer and then know how to call to those people. But that's when being on social media, practicing a little bit, getting used to being in front of the camera, all of those things, they become skills that you can use in the future for your business. So this is key. And there's never a time when you say, like jumping on live, for example. 4 years ago, I would drink a ton of water and I would be sweating and I would be like, the idea of going live to me was just excruciating. That is a life skill that we can use. Being able to talk confidently to a camera, these are life skills that you can use. So there's a certain amount of what you're doing now that will always value you in the future, whether or not you get rid of this page and just speak confidently in front of people in general, or if you take it to the next level and then you start video content creation and you take that to video courses and then take that to running your own online business, right? It can very much be the next step. But at some point, you're going to want to fuse your ideal client, so your niche, with their ideal product. It's not about what you want to sell. That was my very, very first mistake, which is why we didn't make any sales on that very first launch, was that I was selling what made sense to me. It's where I take people from the beginning. It was all about me, but that's not
Right.
necessarily what my people wanted. Once I figured that out, who my people were, and then what they wanted,
Right.
the online sales started coming in. And that is the biggest thing. So give yourself time. My advice now for anyone who's listening, going, oh my God, talking about SEO and lead magnets and sales pages and all of this, if that's overwhelming, just take a breath and remember that you are actually building the online business of your dreams. It's just at some point, the question needs to be, who is my ideal person and what does that ideal person want? And when you can put those two things together, you're officially rolling.
Right.
And there's nothing more thrilling, I must say.
Also, do you want to mention also, yeah, we see a question. Do you also want to mention,
Good question.
you have also a challenge you can help teachers. You want to mention that, maybe share also the link in the chat for teachers who are in the dark in terms of when it
Yeah,
comes to
yeah.
social media and Instagram more specifically. And then we answer the question to learn Italian on the couch.
So, okay. So our challenge, we have a couple different things that are intended to help online teachers create the business of their dreams. One of those things tends to be social media, and my business partner and I focus primarily on Instagram. I truly believe this is the place to be to find actual paying clients. Um, there might be other places that also work, but we truly, truly enjoy Instagram. However, this information you can also use in the other social media platforms. So we created first a course and then a content calendar. And we've also got a 14-day challenge that basically goes through 14 different topics. And again, this is drip fed to you. So if you sign up today, you get the first video. It's about 8 minutes long, I think. And then you just have one action step to complete. And then the next day, you get the second video and one action step to complete. And at the end of that 14 days, your Instagram is much more professional. It's calling to the right person. We ask and talk about your niche. Actually, we included a 1 hour workshop that we did on the niche so that if you're struggling with that, that you have access to that workshop as well. We typically sell that for €27, which I think is more than fair. But I have agreed with Giorgio that for anyone who wants to use the discount code, I'm going to write it in, EDUGO with all caps. So EDUGO in all caps, you'll get the challenge for €21 instead. So that is always
All right,
available. We'll
so
keep
maybe you
that
can
up
also share
until
the
next school.
link in the meantime. I
Yeah.
will start to
Yes.
see the questions that are coming in. So we have, as I mentioned before, the Italian, Learn Italian on the couch. The question, can I ask you how long were
Mhm.
the videos for each lesson? I guess she is referring to the first course you have created.
So the first course we created, the lessons were actually super small, probably 2 to 4 minutes long. We wanted them to be action packed, and then they were included with a portion of a workbook and activities that they can do. The company in India, those videos were anywhere between 4 to 8 minutes long. This, we actually heard statistically, if you have anything more than a 12-minute video, people will not watch it, and 4 to 8 minutes is ideal. And that was the biggest thing that actually sold our concept to India, was that they wanted it to be something that their people can watch on their lunch break, that they can watch on the bus on the way into work. So for them, that was key, that it was not 1 hour videos. And I think that's huge. Your videos do not need to be 1 hour. Just because you have a 1 hour class does not mean you need to fill up all that space. Make it short, make it to the point, and give your learner a win that they can see in that moment, and they will feel really
All right.
positive
So
about your
last
course.
question, I guess we don't have any others. I'm not sure how to pronounce the name, so I'm gonna skip the name. I'm sorry for that. I'm gonna just read the question. Do I require an LMS to sell my course?
Okay.
If yes, which do you recommend, and how to integrate it in my site? If I can answer, maybe Kate also you can add to this. Well, it depends.
Sure.
It may not require, it may require. It depends also the kind of journey, user journey, let's say student journey you want to offer to your customer. You can make a course on YouTube and it's very easy, or you can go and there's many other platforms to create courses. If I had to name, but they are very famous. We as a company, Edugo, we obviously focus on language teachers who want to build their own language courses. So if you're interested, I'm going to leave this link to you. We have this program and you can join and we can help you to launch your language business and grow it. So as I mentioned, hopefully this will help you to
Awesome.
answer your question. I don't know if it did, but Kate, if you want to add to this.
Yeah. So I was trying to put my link in as well. It's no longer saved as a copy and paste thing, and I don't want to leave the live and come back. But I will put the link on the bottom of this live for anyone afterwards. So feel free to click on that link for the challenge afterwards. Um, yeah, when it comes to LMS, I don't really know if I have much to add to that. I think that you covered it. What do you recommend and how do we integrate it into my site? Um, I think there's not really one thing that you can say about every single course. Every single course is going to be different. Every program, like in my opinion, courses are self-taught and programs have an element of live classes that come with it. So for me, that's the difference between those two things. Um, every course, every program, every challenge, every template is going to have a different person, a different niche, a different idea, and therefore you can't really say that one thing is going to work for everything or that one thing will not work for everything. I think trying different things, seeing what works, keeping your eyes open and watching, talking to your people and finding out if, maybe also why didn't you buy? Why did you choose against our option? I know that you were looking at the website, for example. Why
All
did you
right,
choose
we have a
against it?
guest, a
Arzu.
brave guest who joined our
Hello.
live.
Hi
Hi.
there.
Hello, do you want to introduce yourself and also
Yeah.
share with you your question?
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah. The other day, I watched one of the videos on Mastermind presented by Giorgio, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
about Edugo, if I'm not
Wonderful.
wrong. And I noticed there that he said it is kind of free for teachers on Mastermind. Am I right about
Yes.
this?
No.
But
So
no.
not quite, my dear.
Okay.
So just so everyone who's here understands, so Arizu was a member of our 3-month program for online teachers to build their business. And then after people graduate from that program, we also have a mastermind where we continue to improve our skills, work on productivity. We have people come out and talk about different platforms that they can use, all of that. So what Giorgio was offering to the people in the mastermind was 3 months free access to the app. So in that way, yes, you're correct, but not completely free, my dear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So does
Right,
this
but yeah, if
still
you want to talk
apply
about using your
to
own
us?
white
I
label
mean, because,
platform, you can check the link and you can book a meeting with us, with me, or with some of my colleagues, and we
okay.
can follow up, having a private session, a private call, and following up on that. Obviously, you mentioned me that you attended Kate's course before, and we'll take it from over there. Thank you for joining our live. If we don't have other
Yeah.
brave people
Thank you, Arzu.
who have a question, then I think this is all for today. Thank you, Kate, and thank you also for joining and asking your
Thank
question.
you.
Have a good evening, everybody.